Hey, Hamzambo, welcome to another great episode of the number one training and topical issues podcast right here in the 254. I do hope that everyone is doing well on a wonderful Saturday being on the 1st of June, the year 2024. And I'm hoping that your year is coming along just fine and you have actually winded up the month in good style because at the end of the day, you're hoping that maybe at the start of the month you had set your goals for the month and maybe perhaps I do believe that you have been able to achieve those particular goals for that particular month that has passed. And if not, I am hoping that you have a new start right now. My name is Faith, alongside the wonderful co-host Kari. How are you doing, Kari?
I'm doing fantastic.
How has your
I'm
week
doing
been?
good. Uh, Fairly well.
Very well.
Yes.
I don't know
Can't
what
complain.
very well would actually be. Maybe perhaps on a scale of 1 to 100, that would be a 50. I'm imagining. But nonetheless, everyone is
Fairly.
fairly. How on a scale of 0 to 100, that would be what percent?
Like 70.
70%. Oh, okay. Then 70% is wonderful. 70% is all right.
No,
Mm.
80 is wonderful.
80 is one.
90 is wow. 100
90.
is like, yes.
100 is the one. But we want to thank everyone for joining us on today's show, and I'm hoping that your Saturdays are coming along just fine. The only problem that I have with today is that the holiday fell on a weekend. The holiday fell on a Saturday, so there's not much difference. Or are you feeling any difference? With today being a holiday?
Hata sikuwa nakumbuka leo ni holiday.
Huko unakumbuka wanatuma bendera kila mahali, unashindwa mbona watu
Hadi
wamefunga
ile kitu
kazi?
ilinifanya nifikirie what is happening.
Mm.
Ni maduka kufungwa.
Yeah,
And I'm like, leo ni Saturday, si Sunday.
yeah,
Kufika
yeah.
ni holiday.
You're realizing that the shops are closed
Mm.
and you're wondering mbona maduka zimefungwa kila
Hata
mahali.
nilikuwa nadhani
Yeah.
ni tear gas iliangushwa or kulikuwa na some
Tear gas imeangushwa mahali, that was your first thought?
ilikuwa my first thought but I'm like wait,
Where is everyone?
where is everyone? Like, it's so scary. Ukikuja town unaenda kukosa watu. It's very scary.
You're wondering what's going on now
Scary.
with everyone. But I would actually just say that when a holiday falls on a weekend, people just go about their normal businesses the usual way. For example, for kids, kids are actually not in school. So I would actually just say that, when it falls on a weekend, it does not make much sense or it does not make much difference. That is according to my opinion. But I do hope that wherever everyone is at, they're having a wonderful time. And I also do hope that everyone is keeping safe because the rains have been continuing. And I actually thought that for some minutes that the rains are over. But yesterday, where I'm from, it actually did rain yesterday. And even today, the weather is looking the same. For you, Carrie, how has the weather been in terms of, from where you're stationed at or where you're from?
I'm even shocked that you're saying
It has been
yesterday it
raining.
rained.
Yeah, you haven't. You're shocked and wondering what's
Last
going on.
I saw rain was when was it?
About a week ago.
No,
Yeah,
I think Monday or Tuesday.
Monday or Tuesday.
Yeah.
But I would just say, people, make sure that you are also staying in the lookout because you never know. It might continue with what we had experienced before about 2 or 3 weeks ago, where we were reporting cases of flooding. We would not want to hear of any loss of lives. So make sure that you are keeping safe. On today's show, we have a wonderful one. This is a Madaraka Day special. And I would call it special because this is a very 61st Madaraka that we are actually celebrating. And I would actually say that Kenya has come a long, long way. Kenya has come a long, long way. If you think about all the strides that Kenya has made, we're talking about strides in the economic space. We're talking about strides in the political space. Back then, when we were gaining independence, and for so many years after independence, Kenya did have only one political party, which was the Kenya African National Union, which is KANU. And people go to a level where they felt that, oh, we should have much more, it should be better democratic space in our country so that we can have more political parties. And we have come a long way to where we are right now, to having a political parties that represent different ideologies. Back then, if you're not in KANU, they used to say Fuata Nyayo. If you're not in KANU and you're not Fuata in Nyayo, Nyayo are the footsteps. And Nyayo is also the former president, Daniel Arap Toritish Moi. May he so rest in peace. You would hope that we have also made, back then we used to have the very first Madaraka days. And there was something that was said by the president. I hope we will be able to share that particular video about some of the very first Madaraka days. The president, who was the very first president of Kenya, the founding father of Kenya, that is Jomo Kenyatta. He did say that we as a country are fighting, I believe, 4 enemies. Was it 4 or 3 enemies? I can't quite recall. But he actually did say that we are fighting ignorance so that people have to be educated. We are fighting poverty so that people have to be uplifted from their economic situations. We are fighting, I believe these are sicknesses and diseases. I think that is what we are fighting. And even till today, many Kenyans are still trying to fight poverty. Even still today, not all Kenyans are able to acquire education as they would. But let me ask you something for you. For those from independence, what are some of the positive things that you have seen? What are some of the positive steps that Kenya has made for you, Kari? Some of the positive things that you have seen since Kenya gained independence. Yani kitu tu umeona like hapa tumejaribu pale tumejaribu barabara infrastructure.
Okay. How can I say this?
Yeah.
There are parts in Kenya.
Yeah.
That look really good.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
and other parts are left. Yeah.
Some buildings are good.
Yeah.
And
the infrastructure.
Zingine zinakaa 1900s.
Bado iko still back in the day.
But at the same time, it gives.
Jina gani hiyo?
Ancient. It gives.
Tunaka tu bado tuko from pale. So I won't share.
But another thing. Whatever land. Apparently, Nairobi, this CBD wasn't to be a CBD.
I understand they said it wasn't even supposed to be a city.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was shocked and I'm like, bila alianza kuongea, because it was obviously from someone's video.
Yeah.
Bila alianza kuongea, I was like, it now makes sense.
Why the flooding?
The flooding, even how it looks.
Yeah.
You can compare each city to another city.
Yeah.
For example, like Nakuru.
Yeah.
Nakuru looks like a city.
Yeah.
I don't know what gives a city, but it looks like a city.
Whoa.
Like in Nairobi,
Nairobi,
center of Kenya.
What I would say, where Nairobi location wise, I wouldn't say Nairobi is in the central part of Kenya. Nairobi haiko katikati, which was we're talking about the central part of it. But nonetheless, what I would say is that since independence, there are so many things to be proud of. One of the things I was highlighting is the democratic space. We can now see we have more political parties, and people are also able to express their themselves. Back then you wouldn't speak against the party. You wouldn't say anything against KANU. And that was a dictatorial regime, I would actually say, or that was actually going on at that particular time. But nonetheless, guys, make sure that you are connecting with us on our different social media platforms. We are on Twitter at Kenyan Podcast. We are on Instagram at Kenyan Podcast. And you can also find us on Facebook as well, Kenyan Podcast, as well as on Threads. You can listen to us on Spotify. And you can also find us on other different platforms. Today, the Madaraka Day festivities were taken to Bungoma, and so many people have been talking about this rotation of venues for different events. I would actually just say that when it comes to the country, people feeling represented and people feeling as being part of the government or as being part of this leadership, it is very, very important that we do have national events being circulated. Like sometimes back, I think we had the Jamhuri, or another event being held in Embu. From that particular point, we had another event being held in different parts of the country. And I think it's serving good because people also feel represented in different regards. So I want to share with us briefly on this video of the president and the speech that he was making today, so that you can see what he was going on about and why maybe perhaps it matters. Right here on the Kenyan Podcast, the Mashija Day edition.
Principal secretaries, the governor of this great county of Bungoma, Governor Kenneth Makelo Lusaka Bufuela, MCAs and the Speaker of Bungoma County. Ndugu wananchi wa Bungoma, hamjambo? Bungoma hamjambo. Bungoma hoye!
I'm just trying to fast forward a bit so that I
Blocks
can
of the race to progress. We have come a long way. In the course of our journey, we have made Kenya a strong state, anchored by a people united by fierce patriotism, love for one another, a shared vision of progress, and a public service with a high capacity to coordinate development and to provide security.
Before actually Ruto continues, for me, I would actually want to point out one very important thing. When you look at these festivities, of course, the government spends a whole lot of money putting together these events, national events, but also the turnout matters. If you look at Bungoma's event, people are there as early as 6, I believe even 5 a.m. You would find people going to the studio, actually not the studio, but the stadium, actually going to the stadium to go and witness this particular event. And I was asking myself a question. Is it because these people are so patriotic, or is it because there is something that they hope from the government? There is an announcement that they are hoping, or they are still hopeful for something with this leadership? And I think the answer is the latter. I think people do not really go to these events simply because there's a whole lot of patriotism. They want to be there in the cold. People are going there because they want to hear pronouncements being made by the government that would give them a sense of hope. Things right now, like we have had with the finance bill. I don't know what your thoughts, Al Kari, shall be telling us about your thoughts on the finance bill and the price of bread going up to about over 70. You shall be listening us know what you feel about that. But I think with the turn up, for example, people going to Bungoma, filling up the stadium, I don't think it's because they want to see Ruto as much or they feel this government is doing, the very best. I think it's because they want to hear something, at least have a sense of hope. But let me share this video and we shall get to the reaction right here on the Kenyan podcast.
Security. Additionally, our country is a thriving, competitive, and diversified economy, well into its transformational takeover.
For that, I would actually want to disagree with the president. The president says that this is actually a very diversified economy. For African countries, and Kenya being one of them, I think we have not gotten to a level where we can actually talk about being a very diversified economy. Kenya mostly relies on agriculture. We have things like tourism, but when tourism is not doing very, very well, and other things, another foreign exchange earners, agriculture is a backbone of our economy. We are still here to get to a level where we are manufacturing and creating jobs for our people. So when he talks about, Kenya is a very strong, diversified economy country, I would have my reservations about that. But let me continue.
Under democracy, which protects freedom, drives democracy, and places the people of Kenya at the front and center as the authors and beneficiaries of this great nation's affairs. Therefore, every person in this country has the freedom and opportunity to make their contribution by giving their best in what they do. This is the source of our glory. Madaraka recognizes that Kenya...
Let me ask.
Yeah.
It's something that came to my mind.
Yeah.
Storia, Huduma, whatever.
Huduma numbers.
Yes.
Yeah.
What happened with them?
I think they actually retracted that for a while, but I'm really not sure how that particular one went. I think they're trying to bring it back in another different kind of a way because they found that people are really not with that Huduma number thing. So they're trying to find another way which they can still bring about these Huduma story. But let me share this particular video so that you can let me know. Do you agree with some of these pronouncements that the president is making at the Huduma?
Was won by resolute farmers and determined workers on their shambas and
when
their
he talks
brave
about the
sons
matter of
and
the
daughters.
shambas, when he talks about the matter of the shambas, I would actually just want to pause there and ask the question for those who are actually just tuning in to the Kenyan podcast. Do you know anyone that has been compensated by the government that actually had gotten these fake fertilizer? The government said that these farmers were told to go back and register their names and they will be compensated with the actual or real fertilizer. If you are tuning into the Kenyan podcast and you know of anyone or anyone who knows anyone that has been compensated by the government with fertilizer because of this whole scandal, Carrie, you remember the scandal of the fake fertilizer? People are being sold fake fertilizer. The president talks about, taking care of the farmers because this is a country that is dependent on farming. The background of this economy is farming or agriculture. So do you know anyone that knows anyone that has been compensated with real fertilizer? That is also a question as we proceed in these 61st Madaraka Day celebration.
in forests, cities, factories, and plantations. Madaraka reminds us not to look down upon the labors of others, regardless of their occupation, because work makes a great people and a strong nation. Rather, Madaraka encourages us to do whatever we must to honor made to feel despised because of their work. Our economy depends on every form of service, investment in every node of the food system. Agriculture's direct contribution to our GDP is 25%, while its indirect support to other economic pillars such as manufacturing boosts the GDP by a further 27%. Agriculture also employs directly or otherwise an estimated 40%.
I think when you look at these numbers that he has quoted, 25%, agriculture contributes 25% of the GDP. I think that says one thing. It says that we could do much more better because there is a whole lot of potential in that area. If it's only contributes 25%, I think if more young people and also whatever other aids got into agriculture, we would get to a level where maybe perhaps agriculture is doing more than it is actually doing right now, also contribute to other sectors of the economy. But anyhow, let me let the leader speak and see if these numbers are there.
Overpopulation. To build a robust and thriving economy, enhance social inclusion and improve environmental conservation on this critical sector, the government has deployed an agriculture-led, all-of-society approach in the form of the bottom-up economic transformation agenda, of which agriculture is a critical sector and limitations to make a contribution to households and national food security requirements and to propel the economy into the future. We understand, we cherish, and we value our farmers. Consequently, we have partnered effectively with farmers and other food system value chain actors, such as input suppliers, producers,
what I always
processors.
get to wonder when are these particular speeches are made. You know, when you talk about farmers, of course, farmers is a big, big name. But how about we talk about specific areas? For example, the coffee sector, we talk about the pyrethrum sector, we talk about the cotton sector, we talk about all these other different sectors. And see, one question that I have for us on the Kenyan podcast today: do Kenyan farmers feel valued by this government? And do Kenyan farmers feel supported by this particular government? I would love to know if anyone would be tuning and is actually a farmer. Are farmers feeling supported and are farmers feeling valued? Because at the end of the day, you might talk about agriculture doing this and that, but we have different elements within the agricultural sector also being neglected. You know, we might talk about maybe sugarcane farmers, and they will say they have not had their dues paid for a whole maybe 1 year. We talk about coffee farmers. What is also, you know, the opinion of farmers? I would really love to know. Even as the president here goes on talk about food security, which is very, very much important, supporting agriculture, which is very, very much important, but is the same effect being felt on the ground. Reducing the cost of fertilizer, that's a good thing. But then again, you know, is there a market for this particular product? And also, is the government helping these particular farmers locate for this particular market? And also the private sector as well, not just the government. Is there that kind of an intervention where farmers are also feeling that they are valued, they are being taken care of, they are being supported? Is that a thing that is also happening with our nation 61 years after independence? That is my question for us, even as we proceed with hearing and getting our feedback on
and support service providers to transform their productivity beyond subsistence and enhance the country's food security. This has been made possible through interventions in key value chains like maize. Is a highly strategic subsector whose value chains have been the mainstay of the local economies of our sugar belt and a generator of much needed jobs and value. For this reason, we are firmly committed to ensure that
you can see a whole lot of people, and these are the young people, these are the Kenyan youth. But then again, you ask themselves, are these Kenyan youth feeling teens of hope? Because if you look at and ask them, maybe perhaps take a few or ask them, are you guys employed? What are you guys doing? Well, most of them being unemployed.
The sugar industry returns maximum value to all actors in its value chains, beginning with sugarcane development through state-owned mills. after leasing is completed, I am proud to announce that the government has approved the first tranche of 600 million for seed cane development, and the National Treasury shall shortly release these funds to farmers. Recently, smallholder tea farmers exported Ketepa's value-added teas to West Africa and China. The government has...
I have a question that I keep on having questions. Pardon me having all these questions. Kari, did you hear the president saying that Kenya does not have a tea brand of a tea? Did you hear?
Brand of a tea?
They say we do not own, he does not know of a Kenyan tea brand. And people went on social media, on Twitter, asking him, on X, asking him, how about Ketepa? How about Melvin? How about, we have so many of them, and he was actually quoted saying he does not know of, Kenya needs to have its own brand of tea. But I think we are having a big... Sorry, Ketepa is Kenyan. Melvin is Kenyan. We do have so many Kenyan tea brands, but then again, our president still right here. I was talking about Kenya needs to have its own brand of tea. But let's continue.
Also increased farm-to-table food safety through frameworks such as the food safety policy and a food in the agricultural sector.
Go on.
We have just...
See, people know, and this is my opinion.
Yeah.
Not attack.
Yeah.
Tuseme you've been a president, ushaelectiwa, umekuwa kwa. So mnaambiwa unaweka president unasemanga in the next 100 days we'll do this, we'll do that.
The first 100 days unasemanga we want to deliver these. Yeah. Yeah.
Tunangoja 100 days inaisha. And yeah, inaisha tunaongelea the same story tunaongelea. Nilikuja kurealize the team behind that president know who job from the beginning to the end of his term. So if anyone comes up, mmoja mtu fulani akuja seme president kuna mahali ulifanya hivyo, those people will go down, script it, write it, and have that narrative. President anaweza kuja hapo aseme a different story of what you as the citizen have been crying for the longest. So inafikanga mahali even when presidents wakisimama hapa or rather presidents wamesimama hapa, they stand here, they tell us this beautiful lies, and
you're told tutafanya, tutatenga, tutadu, and there's a whole lot of promises. This is nice. And ni kuuza sera, they call it kuuza sera, but at the end of the day is there action on the ground. And I wanted to share with us also a video with someone else is also countering this particular perspective, because at the end of the day, politics is about interest. Politics is about interest. So I will be sharing also with us this particular video, and you guys can also let me know what your thoughts are, because like Kari is saying, yes, promises are made. You will find people being told this is what we want to deliver to you. This is how we shall be delivering this and that to you. But at the end of the day, now when it comes to like action on the ground, you want to know. And this is also a video I felt that is also very, very pertinent. Let me share these, which is a very, very pertinent as well. And then we shall go on to that particular other one. And let me know what you think about Bonnie Halawale. This is a video by Bonnie Halawale, who is actually telling the truth of the matter. And what are you guys... Bonnie Halawale, of course, has been... is on the government side. And this is a whip in the Senate. Majority whip, I believe, in the Senate, if I'm not mistaken. But Bonnie Halawale is also now coming out. I don't know, he's trying to slowly slide in towards the opposition side. I might be mistaken, maybe I'm getting it wrong. But he's also correcting the government that he's also part of, and saying politics is a matter of interest, but these things have been made. These promises are actually being made on a day-to-day basis. But then again, what is the actual implementation on the ground? Listen to Bonnie Halawale.
Mheshimiwa Nyoro, you sit on the budget committee. And Parliament and the Constitution of Kenya imempatia nguvu ya kuamua pesa iende hapa, pesa iende kule. Please, members of Parliament, tusichezee maneno ya maendeleo. Maneno ya maendeleo, until money is in the budget, hakuna kitu itafanyika. Wakati tulitafuta kura 2 years now, Mheshimiwa Ruto alipata kura hapa kwetu kwa sababu niliwaambia akiingia nitasukuma barabara yenye wamezungumzia hapa kutoka hospitali Kiwanyanyeke Shinyalu Rondo mpaka Chepsonoi itaisha. Hiyo pesa haijai kuwa katika budget. Mweke pesa ya hospitali, teaching and referral hospital. Ruto got votes because I promised our people. Hamjaweka, haiko, mweke. Maneno ya kiwanja, Mheshimiwa Shinai, Mheshimiwa Ikana, mwenye maana bakak mek. Na mubona nukuli State House. Hii kiwanja, kumuluku senjena mwenye masaza, tutakwama. Saa hii katika budget, pesa ya kujenga kiwanja hakuna. We must face our people and tell them the truth. Tukiambia president the truth kuhusu pesa ya kuweka kwa miradi yetu.
And what actually I agree with these Boni Halwale are very big 100%, because during these public events, you know, there's national events, there is a whole lot of pronouncements that are made. You know, you're told we are going to create we are going to make Bungoma a city, because this is what was a promise right now. Bungoma is going to be a city, and we're going to make it as big as Nairobi. You know, with all these things you find in Nairobi, we'll bring them to Bungoma. Sometimes I get to wonder, these same people that you're telling, there's a famous quote that says you can lie to some people all the time, but you cannot lie to all the people all the time. And the problem is, when you're telling about people making Bungoma a city and bringing all these things that are in Nairobi to Bungoma and creating all these jobs, these people are there, some of them as young as maybe as 12, and they will be there even 50 years to come. They will be there to actually hold you to account. You know, you will not be there. There'll be another government, right, at that particular time. But then again, when you're making all these, it is important that leaders are also very truthful with the people. And that is what Boni Halwale is actually saying on that other clip there. You told people about the stadiums, you're telling people about the hospitals, you're telling people about this and that, but the money is not being allocated to this particular project. I understand this government will come up and say, oh, when we were getting into power, the coffers were empty. But for those that are actually watching us on the Kenyan podcast, I want to thank you for joining us on the Kenyan podcast. And let me know, when you digest this particular speech, what do you make out of this particular speech that the president has made on the 61st Madaraka Day? For me, I think some of the things that are actually being told, these are things that are just going to make people happy for nothing. And also, I would like to fold the leadership on the ground, because I understand, and let me know, Kari, what your idea is. The leaders is one of the leader in Bungoma that has actually said that they want to rename the airport, you know, the airstrip. They want to rename the airstrip there and give it and rename it after President Ruto. For me, I don't think, you know, if you rename whatever, you might come and rename a sports stadium, you rename it after the Ruto Stadium, or rename an airstrip after Ruto and rename this. But the thing is, if there are not resources being put towards, you know, these particular facilities, and also see that these facilities are actually helping the people, you might rename every other secondary school after the leader, the president, and you might rename every other stadium or any other public facility after the leader. But that does not really sort out the problems that you have right now in the economy. But let me play a little bit more.
Can I add something?
Yeah.
For your point, yeah.
Renaming the stadium, renaming the
they get to be held accountable for the words they say.
Yeah.
What I have learned so far, regardless, especially Prezo, especially juu Prezo yendo kusema yeye akisema
au wengine wana follow. Some of them are just asking dance, they're being told jump and is high.
And ile kitu nilikuja kurealize kuna na hiyo narrative they always have, regardless of anything, because the times where nasikianga there's an issue, these issues hawaongelei immediately, but in such places they talk about things, yes, they zina you know, zina make sense, but why is that serious problems ikiwa they don't
what happens?
address immediately?
What happens? I think is a matter of our interest. Once again, it's a matter of our interest, and what happens is that they will tell you what you want to hear. That is what you will hear with most politicians. If politicians know that you want to hear that, for example, you have a problem with water and flooding, and kuna daraja ambayo mnataka mtengenezewe, what you will hear is that tutakuja, there will be resources being allocated towards building a bridge. That is what you want to hear. But on the ground, they will go up and say, oh, there are no allocations for that particular money for a bridge. But for that particular time, wanataka wafurahisha wananchi, and they want to make sure that these wananchis feel that they are actually spoken for. That is the whole point. They feel that they are actually being spoken for. And this is also another thing, when Ruto actually says that Bungoma will be made a city. This is some of the things that these are some of the promises. Let me share a bit over these, and you guys also let me know what you feel about Bungoma actually being made into a city, and why. Let me just share this. If I would be able to find this particular clip, if I'll be able to cue it, and what the people of Bungoma do feel about this particular one. Because they say they want to make Bungoma County into a city. And what your thoughts are? But let me share a bit of this. Wish I was able to find that particular video. But I was just saying that when these particular promises are actually being made, it's very, very important that you also, promises also are going along with action, And up to this particular point, I was saying many people woke up very early in the morning. Very many people woke up early in the morning. It's not because they feel that they need to be there or they are so patriotic for them to go to this particular stadium in Bungoma to celebrate the Madaraka Day. No, it's because they want to hear some sense of hope with the government. And that is exactly what Ruto is actually presenting them with. Telling them, listen, guys, this is actually going to be a city in a matter of time. I will make it into a city. We shall have an airport here. This airstrip will be upgraded and things like that. But we do have this politician, Boni Halawale, who is telling also the leaders, please be very, very truthful. Let me know what your thoughts are about this 61st Madaraka Day. I would love to hear your opinion. And also, if you haven't followed us on YouTube, please make sure you follow us, The Kenyan Podcast, and we will be happy to engage with you. If you would like to write to us an email, kenyanpodcast@gmail.com, and we would also love to interact and engage with you on different matters. This is Boni Halawale, and a very important message to the Kenya Kwanza government. He's also part of it, but this is what he had.
Akiingia nitasukuma barabara yenye wamezungumzia hapa kutoka hospitali Kiwanyanyeke Shinyalu Rondo mpaka Chepsonoi itaisha. Hiyo pesa haijai kuwa katika budget. Mweke pesa ya hospitali, teaching and referral hospital. Ruto got votes because I promised our people. Hamjaweka, haiko, mweke. Maneno ya kiwanja, Mheshimiwa Shinai, Mheshimiwa Ikana, mwenye maana baka kumeka. Now move on to State House.
Yeah, by the way, this blazer that Halawale is wearing looks like the 70s blazer. Sijui hii nayo alitoa nayo wapi, but it looks ini blazer ya kitambo sana. This is not. I can look at the design. Naweza kuambia this blazer is from the 70s, the 80s. But anyhow, matters aside, that the dressing aside, I would just say that he is very truthful. The thing is, there are some politicians when you wanachezanga game yao vizuri wakiwa side ya opposition. And this is one of them, Boni Halawale. The problem is, sahi ako kwa government. He's part of the government that is also agitating that they put in some action.
Kwanza, kumbuka kusenjera mwenye masaza, tutakuwa sahi katika budget pesa ya kujenga kiwanja hakuna. We must face our people and tell them the truth. Tukiambia president the truth kuhusu pesa ya kuweka kwa miradi yetu, sio kwamba hatumheshimu, tunamkumbusha. That is why we were elected to push for development to come to our homes. So, kiwanja ndege, tunataka barabara, tunataka hospitali, tunataka watoto wetu, tunataka.
That is a bit of that. Let me leave it at that particular point. Wish he would have gone on and gone on. I didn't have the full video. But nonetheless, what is your opinion? What is your honest opinion regarding the 61st Madaraka Day and the speech by our president? I was also asking you, those who are actually joining us, important question. Do you know anyone that has been compensated for the fake fertilizer that they bought? You know, so many people, so many farmers actually did get the fake fertilizer. Do you know anyone that has been compensated for that particular fake fertilizer? I would love to know from you. And it's always a pleasure to have you tuning in. Remember, we shall be having these particular live shows, the Kenyan Podcast Live, very, very frequently. So make sure that you're joining us and you're giving us your full support, even as we do them on Twitter, on X, on YouTube, and of course, also on Facebook as well. We purpose to be on all those particular platforms. We are winding up. We shall leave it there. I will leave the link of this video on the description box of this particular video on Instagram. But maybe Carrie has some closing remarks. Utupe closing remark yako, umezubani kama umehang. You're wondering what's going on.
No, for a minute I was thinking something else, but add a food for thought. Yeah.
Go on.
And it's a video that I saw.
Yeah.
Ilikuwa nasema kwa nini tusiprint our own money only tulipe loans zetu. And it got me thinking, by the way, kwa nini tusifanye hivyo? But at the same time, si kuna kwanga na network.
Actually not. Kuna why people don't actually go into print their own money is because you will flood the market with that particular money and you'll actually crush your own economy. Because the very pesa inakwanga pesa has value because iko nadra, as in haipatikani. But if money was to be found everywhere, pesa iko kila mahali, then it means that the value of it just goes down, and then there is inflation because the value of money has gone down, and you have like maybe perhaps manoti, like let's say like a whole bag of notes, you know, and they are worthless simply because there's a whole lot of that in the circulation in the economy. But nonetheless, yes, that's a good point. No, there are many ways of fixing an economy. I'm not an economist myself. We would actually leave that to Dini Nyoro and the likes of David D. But I would actually just say there are ways in which we can actually go that. And one of the ways is not borrowing so much like we're doing, because there's a whole lot of external borrowing with our country. The other day I hear that there was a big loan that was being given to Kenya by the IMF Bank. I think we have shared it on the Kenyan podcast. But I think on the subsequent shows, we shall be getting into the economy, how we can fix it, and how we are actually trying to make it even worse right now with this government. Yeah. Go on.
Unasema kukuwa na too much.
Yeah, if you print in too much money, then you screw up the economy. Yeah.
Si basi print enough. Print enough.
No, that is a simplistic way of actually addressing that particular problem, but that would not actually work. There have been so many people that have suggested different things. There is someone who was actually saying that when there is a shortage of money in the economy, there's what we call the injections. Just inject more money into the economy. That actually helps a bit. But then if you over-inject money into the economy, then you are also doing the reverse, you know. But then again, we shall get to the economics at the bottom of the economics of that as well. But for those that have been tuning in, we want to thank you so much for being with us on the show. I want to wish you a happy and a productive weekend. And also make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel and continue giving us so much love and so much support. For now, I will leave you the same jam that we started with. That was YG Male. The name of the jam is Praise Jah in the Moonlight. And thank you so much. Till next time, much peace and love. I want to say kwaheri. Make sure that you're keeping safe, and you are also looking out for your brother and your sister. We do say you are your neighbors, you're your brothers and your sisters' keeper. Much peace and love. Till next time, I want to say kwaheri. I will leave with this wonderful jam. And if I'm telling you the feeling is wrong, this won't take too long. Feeling alone, you can call my phone. That's the mom. That's Erika Badu. Oh, no, not Erika Badu. That's what do you call her? Not Erika Badu. The wife to, what do you call her? Damn, this name just disappeared. Not Erika Badu. Lauren Hill. Damn, the name almost disappeared. That's Lauren Hill, the mom. Before it was the song. Oh, no. Freedom is the wrong. Oh, no. Coming in from the cold. Tell them that's the grandson of Bob Marley, but that's the son of Lauren Hill once again. Thank you so much. Till next time, I want to wish you a happy one. Make sure that you join us next time. Tunawapenda bure.